Reading have appointed Paul Ince as manager, and this is my reaction as a Reading fan. I'm really not sure about this at all. Now, first of all, the statement, it's really weird. It says that Reading Football Club is pleased to confirm that Paul Ince has been appointed as first team manager. Alex Ray has also accepted the opportunity to be assistant manager, with the roles as both interim positions now become permanent ahead of the 2022-2023 campaign. I won't read out all the boring quotes saying how wonderful Paul Ince and fantastic Alex Ray are. For me, that initial first part of the statement feels to me like it's only a 1 year contract because it's only ahead for the 2022-2023 campaign. I believe one of the main reasons for this is probably because Reading have no money, so maybe they can't afford to give Paul Ince a 3 year contract. Then when they inevitably sack him in October, they can't afford the payout of a 3 year contract. So, yeah, obviously by the tone of my voice and what I'm saying, you can tell I'm not too sure about this appointment with Paul Ince. First of all, let's analyse how he's done as Reading manager. So he came in, obviously, at an extremely difficult time when Reading inevitably looked like they were going down. I really liked Veljko Paunovic. I think he's a lovely guy. He spoke really well. He genuinely seemed like he cared about the community and the players and the fans. And I really, really, really was so hopeful that he would last for longer than a couple of seasons. And he did. He lasted at least one season and it was looking like, great, this is really optimistic. He's going to be a proper, at the very least, mid-term manager at Reading, and he's going to do something really good. But in the end, it turned so toxic, and I was gutted for Paunovic that it fell out and it went the way it did. I was really, really rooting for him to succeed. But alas, he was sacked. Then Paul Ince came, and Paul Ince has managed 14 games at Reading. He has 4 wins, 3 draws, and 7 losses, which in terms of points per game is 1.07, which isn't much better than Paunovic's, and obviously being 1.07, that's pretty much 46 points in 46 games, which isn't exactly inspiring. It's not as though since he's come in, he's had a phenomenal transformation in the team. They lost half the amount of matches Paul Ince was manager. And some of those matches weren't exactly close. Blackpool, they got battered 4-1. They got battered against Forest 4-0. Hull, they got battered. West Brom, they got battered. In all fairness, Cardiff at home, when they lost, they probably didn't deserve to lose that game. But yeah, it's not been great for Paul Ince, has it? In terms of tactical shifts and what he's actually done for the team, for me, there's been 2 big tactical shifts that he's done. The biggest one, in my opinion, was playing Josh Laurent higher up the pitch. He's encouraged Josh to push up the pitch, and actually that's done really well. Josh was excellent against Sheffield United. He was fantastic against Swansea. So and also he got a goal against Barnsley. So pushing Josh Laurent further up the pitch was a really good tactical shift from Paul Ince, and also playing Tom McIntyre in midfield. I mean, yes, injuries did kind of mean that he sort of needed to play, but his innovation to play Tom McIntyre in midfield did pay off. He's played quite well as Tom McIntyre. So I like the fact that Paul Ince has played Tom McIntyre and Tom Holmes, although I'm not a big fan of the fact that Luke Southwood was dropped and has not played again. Anyway, that's the stats in terms of Paul Ince. In my opinion, I just don't think it's a fantastic appointment because I think Reading can do better. Yes, they're in a really bad situation financially. However, I just think it's a really uninspiring appointment going into next season. Now, going into next season, in my opinion, it was always going to be a relegation battle for Reading. That's just the realistic scenario, given that they're under transfer embargo, they can't spend any money, loads of players are going to leave on free transfers. That was always going to be the case. So, in terms of thinking positively, going to the other side for a second, Paul Ince knows the club. He knows the players. It does seem like the players like him. Josh, Andy, Yedom, Tom McIntyre have all come out and said that Paul Ince has made an impact, and a positive impact at that. You can't deny that. Also with Paul Ince, the owners know him. And like I said, because Paul Ince and Alex Ray know the club, they can just get started straight away in terms of planning for next season. Having said that, I'm just not sure about the appointment. I just have a bad feeling that he's going to be sacked in October because, like I said, it's an uninspiring appointment. His impact over 14 games, which is a big enough sample size to analyse, hasn't been inspiring. Also, with Reading, they've appointed Mark Bowen as Director of Football. How much of an influence did Mark Bowen have over the appointment of Paul Ince? Did Mark Bowen want Paul Ince to be manager? Because Director of Football, that does come under the category of appointing the manager. I think maybe Mark Bowen himself would have probably preferred to be manager himself. So it's really confusing. I can see from the owner's point of view why they've appointed Mark Bowen and Paul Ince, because the owners liked Mark Bowen as Director of Football, and they asked Mark Bowen to do a job as manager. Then he ended up taking the manager job permanently, then left and has now come back to Director of Football. In terms of Paul Ince, like I said, the owners know Paul Ince. Paul Ince knows the squad, and I'm sure Paul Ince would have done the charm and over the owners saying, "Oh, I've got this plan and I want to do this." And also, given that Paul Ince is now a manager, I'm sure there would have been reassurances to Paul that certain players will sign new contracts and there might be some funds for Paul Ince. And I will say this about Paul. He's never been given the chance over a 3-year period or 4-year period to actually manage a team. He did an interview with Mark Goldbridge explaining that, how he's never actually had the time, which, to be fair, that is a fair point. Paul Ince has never been given the proper time. Our Reading Football Club, the club to give Paul Ince that time? I'm not so sure. As much as I love Reading, the way they're run off the pitch, the financial issues and the lack of organisation is a real concern. You could argue it's a step in the right direction in terms of appointing Mark Bowen as Director of Football. I'm just sceptic. I'm normally an optimistic guy, but in terms of Paul Ince's appointment and Mark Bowen as Director of Football, I'm just a little bit of a sceptic about this. And I am worried that the season will start poorly and Reading nosedive. What I hope comes out of this appointment is that Paul Ince is given time, because with Paunovic, he finished 7th the season before. So there was some sort of an expectation that he will probably finish lower than 7th, but maybe not be in a relegation battle. So the fact that Reading were in a relegation battle and it turned so toxic was really, really worrying. So that's why he left. With Paul Ince going into next season, the expectations are very much that Reading just want to stay up because of the transfer embargo, the amount of players that will leave, the lack of organisation off the pitch, even Paul Ince's credibility as a manager, and the fact that Mark Bowen has just been appointed as Director of Football. There isn't an expectation to even finish mid-table, let alone the playoffs. So in that sense, maybe Paul Ince will be given more time as manager. But how many times, as not just a Reading fan, but even as like football fans, have said, "Oh, I hope this manager's given more time," and then he's sacked in October. Or even earlier in September. So overall, I'm not sure I agree with the appointment. However, I can understand why the owners have done this. If Mark Bowen has had no say in terms of the appointment, that's alarm bells ringing already. I just hope Paul Ince can turn it around. I would love nothing more than for Paul Ince to do a really good job, prove to everyone that he can be a good manager, and actually manage Reading for 1, 2, 3 full seasons. I would really like that. I'm not sure I can see it. I don't know. I think it'll be another relegation battle, and I'm worried. What does give me hope, like I said though, is that Paul Ince would have been given reassurances about who will sign and who won't sign. So maybe Andy Adam and Josh Lauren will be there next season at Reading. Who knows? But that's my reaction to the appointment. If you're a Reading fan or even just a football fan that follows the Championship, let me know what you think of the appointment in the comments below. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.